Res judicata, Section 11 of CPC. Requirements to constitute Section 11 of CPC. Whether res judicata applies to writ jurisdiction. Differences between res sub judice and res judicata. Apex Court landmark judgments. Do subscribe the channel Drive on Law and click bell icon to get notifications by Drive on Law. Res judicata means, res means subject matter and judicata means adjudged or decided, and together it means a matter adjudged, means the case was decided by the court. So that we call as a res judicata. In simple words, the thing has been judged by the court, means the court has decided the case, particular issue. The issue before a court has already been decided by another court and between the same parties. Hence, the court will dismiss the case as it has been decided by another court. Res judicata applies to both civil and criminal legal system. No suit which has been directly or indirectly tried in a former suit can be tried again. Introduction and meaning. Res judicata is a phrase which is defined in section 11 of CPC, has been evolved from Latin maxim which stands that the thing has been judged, which means if an issue is brought in the court and it has already been decided by another court between the same parties and which has the same cause of action, then the court will dismiss the case before it has been useless. The concept of res judicata has high significance both in civil and criminal system. Objectives of res judicata. This doctrine is based on three maxims which are as follows. Nemo debet bis vexari pro una et edem causa, which means no man should be vexed twice for the same cause, means the person should not be tried for the same case twice. That is the concept of the nemo debet bis vexari pro una et edem causa. Interest republica it sit finis litium, which means in the interest of the state there should be an end to the litigation, means same litigation should not be tried twice or thrice. The litigation has to be tried by the court only once. That is the intention of the court. Res judicata pro veritate occipitur, which means judicial decision accepted as correct, means whatever the decision which was given by the pronounced by the judge after adjudicating the matter, it is considered as a final. The principle and scope of section 11 is the rule of res judicata is intended not only to prevent a new decision but also to prevent a new investigation so that the same person cannot be harassed again on same question. So even in the criminal cases also, on the same offense the person should not be tried again. It comes under section 300 of CRPC. Even the res judicata also applies for the civil and criminal. The rule of res judicata is based on two important grounds, namely the hardship to an individual who could otherwise be vexed twice for the same cause, and public policy which requires that there should be an end to litigation. If the court is going on trying the same offense in n number of times, it causes loss to the parties and also there won't be the end for any litigation. So it is a waste of time of the court, and also the parties won't get any benefit by bringing the case into the court. The doctrine of res judicata is founded on the principle of equity, justice and good conscience. The doctrine applies to the civil and criminal proceedings and equally to all quasi-judicial proceedings before tribunals. Conditions in res judicata. The following conditions must be satisfied to constitute bar of res judicata. The former suit must have been between the same parties or persons claiming under them. The question directly and substantially in issue in the subsequent suit should have been heard and finally decided in the prior suit. Such parties must have litigating under the same title in the former suit. The court which determined the earlier suit must be competent to try the later suit. The matter must be directly and substantially in issue of the two suits. It means the two suits, earlier suit which was decided by the competent court which has a jurisdiction and also between the same parties on the same cause of action, and the issue is directly and substantially the same. Then the subsequent suit is not maintainable and it bars with the res judicata. It is necessary that the matter of res judicata should be raised by the party concerned. So here subsequent court does not know whether the case was decided prior on the same facts and also the cause of action between the same parties. So the parties, that is either plaintiff or defendant, has to retake the plea that the case was decided by the earlier court on the same cause of action. And res judicata was not raised by the concerned party nor any such issue was framed by the trial court, but the appellate court suo motu invoked the principle of res judicata. This was held not proper. So which was not taken earlier in the previous court, then the same cannot be taken in the appellate court. Even appellate court takes it as a suo motu also, it is not considered as a proper. Unless the issue of res judicata is raised by the parties, the court has no jurisdiction to answer the res judicata as an issue. There are some exceptions for the plea of res judicata. Judgment in original court obtained by the fraud. If any of the parties obtain the judgment by not disclosing the original facts and obtained by misleading the court by fraudulent intent, then res judicata not applies for the subsequent suit. So they can go for the subsequent suit also by showing that the fraud was played in the earlier suit. When previous SLP is dismissed, when special leave petition is dismissed without adjudication or decision, then res judicata should not be applied. For obtaining doctrine of res judicata, the formal suit should be decided finally by the competent court. Mere dismissal does not give the scope for the res judicata because the competent court has to decide, means adjudicate the matter after hearing fully both the parties. A different cause of action. Section level will not be applied when there is a different cause of action in the subsequent suit. The court cannot bar the subsequent suit if it contains the different cause of action. If there is a different cause of action in the subsequent suit, it is not bar for the res judicata because earlier cause of action is differ and the subsequent cause of action is differ. So it is considered as a separate suit. When there is interlocutory orders. Interlocutory order is an interim order, decree or sentence passed by the court. A principle of the res judicata will not be applied when an interlocutory order is passed on the former suit. It is because in interlocutory orders, immediate relief is given to the parties and it can be altered by the subsequent application and there is no finality of the decision. So when the parties ask for the immediate relief, that is the interlocutory applications IAs, if the court grants any of the benefits for them, means that is injunction order, if not attachment of the property, attachment of the salary, any of the thing. So even that orders is not considered, means it does not bar for the res judicata because the decision of the final suit will be differ. So interlocutory order is not final. So the res judicata not applies to the interlocutory applications. Waiver of a degree of res judicata. Degree of res judicata is a plea in the bar which party must waive. If a party did not raise the plea of res judicata, then the matter will be decided against him. It is the duty of the opposite party to make the court aware about the adjudication of matter in a former suit. If the party fails to do so, the matter is decided against him. So here the court does not know about the earlier suit, so the parties has to take the plea before the court. If the party not taken the plea before the court and the court passed the judgment or decree, then the right for the res judicata is waived. Court not competent to decide. When the former suit is decided by the court, who has no jurisdiction to decide the matter, then the doctrine of the res judicata is not applied to the subsequent suit. So here the major ground is that both parties should be same, cause of action should be same, and also the competent court, and also the issue should be directly and substantially the same. So if the case is not decided by the competent court, then obviously the party can go for the subsequent court. Here there won't be the bar for the res judicata. When there is a change in law, when there is a change in the law and new laws brings new rights to the parties, then such rights are not barred by the section 11. So if subsequently any of the amendments were made in the law, then some rights for given for the parties has come to the parties, then he can go in the subsequent suit by claiming his rights. Whether res judicata is applied for the writ jurisdictions. It is settled law that the doctrine of res judicata is applied in the writ proceedings, but there is one exception to this, is the plea of res judicata should not violate any fundamental rights of the citizen. The court can apply the principle of res judicata in the writ petitions, but it is necessary for the court to pass a speaking order. The court should give proper reasoning while applying the res judicata. For the writ of habeas corpus, the doctrine of constructive res judicata would not apply. If the petition is dismissed as withdrawn, it can be a bar to the subsequent petition under Article 32, because in such a case there has been no decision on the merits by the court. So when the petition is dismissed, writ petition is dismissed, it is not considered that it was delivered on basing on the merits. So subsequent petitions can be allowed. Thus, the doctrine of res judicata can be applied to the pill, arbitration and awards and income tax proceedings. In the case of rural litigation and entitlement in Kendriya versus State of UP, the court held that doctrine of res judicata cannot be applied in the cases of public interest litigations, that is pill. In the case of KV George versus Secretary to Government, the court held that plea of res judicata cannot be raised in the cases of arbitration and rewards. The doctrine of res judicata is not being applied in the income tax proceedings. In the case of BSNL versus Union of India, the court held that decision given for one assessment year does not operate as a res judicata in the subsequent years. Section 11 of the Civil Procedure Code incorporates the doctrine of res judicata, also known as rule of conclusiveness of judgment. The doctrine of res judicata has been explained in the case of Satyadan Gosal versus Deorjin Debi. The judgment of the court was delivered by Das Gupta judge. An appeal was made by landlords who attained a degree of ejectment against the tenants who were Deorjin Debi and her minor son. However, they have not been yet able to get possession in execution soon after the decree was made. An application was made by the tenant under Section 28 of the Tenancy Act, Calcutta Tikka Tenancy Act, and alleged that they were in the Tikka tenants. This application was resisted by the landlord, saying they were not Tikka tenants within the meaning of the Act. The tenants moved to the High Court of Calcutta under the Civil Procedure Code. The court applied the principle of the res judicata to achieve the finality in litigation. The result came that the original court as well as the higher court can proceed for any further litigation on the basis that the previous decision was correct. In Dario versus State of Uttar Pradesh, in the historic case of Dario versus State of Uttar Pradesh, the doctrine of res judicata, ease of universal application, was established. the Supreme Court of India placed the doctrine of res judicata on a still broader foundation. In this case, petitioner filed a writ petition in the High Court of Allahabad under Article 226 of the Constitution, but the suit was dismissed. Then they filed independent petitions in the Supreme Court under the writ jurisdiction of Article 32 of the Constitution. The defendants raised an objection regarding the petition by asserting that prior decision of the High Court would be operated as res judicata to a petition under Article 32. The Supreme Court dismissed and disagreed with the petitions. The court held that the rule of res judicata applies to the petition under Article 32 of the Constitution if a petition is filed by the petitioner in the High Court under Article 226 of the Constitution and it is dismissed on the basis of merits. It would be operated as res judicata to bar a similar petition in the Supreme Court under Article 32 of the Constitution. It means that the court has stated that if the petition is tried on the merits and dismissed, then the subsequent petition is not maintainable. In Devilal Modi vs. Sales Tax Officer, in the leading case of Devilal Modi vs. STO, challenged the validity of an order of assessment under Article 226. The petition was dismissed on the basis of merits. The Supreme Court also dismissed the appeal that was made against the order on the basis of merits. B again filed another writ petition in the same High Court against the same order of assessment. This time the petition was dismissed by the High Court. The Supreme Court held that the petition was barred by the principle of res judicata. In this case also the same thing. The earlier petition was dismissed on merits, means deciding the case by full-fledged. So subsequent petition bars with the res judicata. Avatar Singh vs. Jagjit Singh. A peculiar problem arose in the case of Avatar Singh vs. Jagjit Singh. A filed a civil suit. A contention regarding the arbitration of the court was taken by B. The objection was sustained and the plaint was returned to the plaintiff for the presentation. The Revenue Court did not have any jurisdiction when A approached the Revenue Court, so he returned the petition. Once again, A filed a suit in the Civil Court. B contended that the suit was barred by the doctrine of res judicata. Mathura Prasad vs. Dosabai N.B. Jijibai. In the case of Mathura Prasad, it was held that res judicata constitutes between the parties to the previous case and cannot move again in collateral proceedings. Generally, a decision by the competent court operates as res judicata even on a point of law. However, a question of law which is not related to facts that gives rise to the right will not operate as res judicata. When the cause of action is different or the law is different, the decision has been already altered by an authority. The decision made will be declared as valid and res judicata will not operate in the subsequent proceedings. So when the case is decided on the law and also the facts and also the cause of action, then it is considered as a valid. Difference between res judicata and res sub judice. The doctrine of res judicata and res sub judice varies in some factors. Res sub judice applies to the matter that is pending trial, whereas res judicata applies to a matter adjudicated or arbitrated. Res sub judice prohibits the trial of a suit that is pending decision in a previous suit, whereas res judicata prohibits the trial of a suit that has been decided in the former suit. So in res sub judice there should be two suits, that is a former and a subsequent suit. But in res judicata the former suit is already decided and the subsequent suit is not allowed on the bar of the res judicata. Conclusion. The doctrine of res judicata can be understood as something which restricts either the party to move the clock back during the pendency of the proceedings. The extent of the res judicata is wide and it includes a lot of things which even includes public interest litigation. The doctrine can be applied outside the court of civil procedure and covers a lot of areas which are related to the society and people. The scope and the extent have widened with the passage of time, and the Supreme Court has elongated the areas with its judgments. Please do subscribe the channel Drive on Law and click bell icon to get notifications by Drive on Law. And next video is about the differences between the res judicata and also the constructive res judicata.